Welcome everyone to the South Park Commons demo fair with the Agency Fund. This is our social impact edition. And here's a quick overview of the agenda for the morning. We are getting started a little bit early, which is always good. I'm going to tell you a little bit about South Park Commons, then my colleague Richard is going to tell you a bit about the Agency Fund. And from there, we're going to go into live demos. We have 4 demos in the first half, then we're going to do a bit of a stretching break for those of you who are sitting. We'll have 3 more demos and then we'll wrap up. We might actually finish a bit early and we'll get you on your way. A lot of you are joining from different time zones and it's the end of a day. So we will keep this brisk and exciting and keep everybody awake. So again, the co-hosts for this event are South Park Commons and the Agency Fund. We always show this slide when we're doing live demos. These are people who've been building products over the last few months. These are live. They are not all showing videos. You're going to see some raw stuff here that hasn't totally been deployed, that has some bugs, and we think that's okay. So we're giving everyone an 8-minute time limit. There might be some issues deploying and sharing what these people have built, but we're going to get through it. So thank you in advance for being patient. And we'll jump in with some dad jokes or mom jokes if we have big fails, but we hope it's all going to go great. We have some amazing founders here today. So a bit about how we're going to run the demo fair. During presentations, we're going to ask that you slot your questions into the chat and allow people to get through their full demo. We've got about 5 or 6 minutes for the demos and then about 3 minutes for Q&A. Jonathan, who is here, is going to be selecting questions from the chat for each of the presenters. So he's going to moderate our Q&A. And for presenters, we're going to ask the next presenter as the Q&A is happening to get ready and step up into the mic for your live demo. So let me say a few words about South Park Commons, which is an amazing community that I joined in 2019. South Park Commons, I'm going to read this to you. It's a community of builders, tinkerers, and domain experts that come together to challenge you, encourage you, help you build and validate your ideas. We believe that good ideas very rarely come about in isolation. And we think of ourselves as an anti-accelerator, a safe zone that promotes judgment-free exploration and the development of new ideas. We come together, there are about 150 of us in the community at any one time to explore, to take some time out to explore new ideas and frankly, new startup and nonprofit ideas. To learn together, to read and discuss and master new techniques and technologies, and then to launch new endeavors, whether it's a company or a project or a nonprofit. Our intent is always to move forward with new ideas and bring new things into the world. Oh, sorry. So we, as I said, we are about 150 members in the community at any given time. But when you look at all of our alumni, since this enterprise was launched by Ruchi Sangvi in 2015, 2016, there are now over 450 members of this community with some amazing people. A breadth of expertise that we like to think of as akin to a modern day Xerox PARC. There are engineers and software developers. There are open source contributors. There are domain experts like economists and artists and performing artists. We have first-time founders, serial founders, academics, a broad range of people who come together to support each other's work and to explore new ideas. And what do our members end up doing? About 1/3 start companies that are founded by top-tier venture firms. And there have been more than 130 companies that have been started through SPC. And in addition to that, about 1/3 of our members move into diverse areas with big social impact. They move into research at organizations like OpenAI and Google Brain. They form nonprofits or they join nonprofits, and that's part of the group you're going to hear today. So if you are interested in membership and you are joining us for the first time, please check out our website. You can apply for membership. We are now a global community. We started in San Francisco as a small group founded by Ruchi Sangvi, who's in the middle of this picture. but we are now a global network and welcome people to apply to join and to join our events and participate. So with that, I am going to hand it off to Richard Zadelmeyer, who is a co-founder of the Agency Fund, to tell you a little bit more about the partner for this event. Richard, go ahead and unmute yourself.
And yeah, Temina, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. The other co-founder is Temina herself, by the way. So I'll just take 2 or 3 minutes to explain a little bit the genesis and the framework of the Agency Fund, what it is and where it comes from, and how we've ended up engaging in this exciting partnership with South Park Commons. Both Temina and I come from development research background in global poverty research, basically trying to study through randomized evaluations what works to reduce poverty at large scale. And so some of the things that we found over the years is you could summarize a bit as follows: that poverty and development are extremely complex issues, and it's often very hard to know exactly what the right solution is, so to speak, that people should be taking. Even if you study, if you spend a lot of time studying the impact of whatever it might be, microloans, it is still very, very hard to get to any kind of conviction that people should generally take microloans, or many other choices, that people should save more, or that they should invest more in their children, or that they should invest more in their business. It's very, very hard to arrive at sort of generalized prescriptions for courses of action that people in poverty should take. And so it's often quite misplaced to try and work towards a vision in which development practitioners are sort of the nudgers in chief who decide who should be doing what, and who should be saving more, and who should be investing more. And so, like, there are no those kinds of universal prescriptions are just ultimately unattainable. Some things will work for some people and will not work for other people. But when you have a different mindset, when you sort of take a supportive stance, and your mind is that you're not trying to figure out the solution, quote unquote, to poverty, and you're just trying to figure out how to be useful at the margin, then remarkable things can often happen. So the basic idea is you try to leave the directly affected people in charge of their own decision making. So you center their agency, so to speak. That's where kind of this term or this focus comes from. You just think about marginal inputs or supports that you might be able to provide, data, insights, information, inspiration that you might be able to provide to help them hone their own mental maps of their own particular lives in a better way, and navigate their own life decisions in a better way. It's ultimately a somewhat more humble approach to development, but one that has proven very powerful in a number of settings. And so when we're thinking about the path to scale, so in all of those settings, in some shape or form, information and inspiration play a big role. We're talking about intangibles. We're talking about people encountering insights that usually they might not encounter in their daily difficult lives, that are often marginalizing and discouraging. Finding ways to integrate empowering, useful signals into those lives is kind of the idea. And so data and technology just have a huge role to play here on the path to scale in particular, because if you want to do these kinds of things, bring that kind of thing, make it accessible to millions of people, you need to think about user networks. You need to think about technologies that enable rich two-way interaction at scale and so forth. And so technology is bound to play a role, and innovation is bound to play a role. And so the partnership with South Park Commons is built on this insight that there seem to be a lot of, when we're thinking about working towards this longer term vision, there it seems plausible that a lot of the good ideas that will emerge are going to emerge sort of at the intersection of economic development and social entrepreneurship and technology. And so in some shape or form, all of the fellows who applied to this fellowship were doing something in the way of the work that they're going to describe in a bit that had some relevance to this kind of theory of change. And so we're excited. This is where basically this is coming from. This is what unifies what might come across like a fairly disparate set of ideas. So I'm very excited to get an update about what our fellows have been up to, and to have so many of you listening. So thanks a lot, Temina. Handing back to you.
Thank you, Richard. All right, we're going to get into the presentations. You have kind of the broad picture of what inspires this group, and I think we're going to jump in. And here is the lineup. So we're going to break in the first group. We're going to see the first 4 demos. Jono, you are up first. So I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over to you.
Great. Hi, everyone. While I'm busy setting up, I just want to shout out to my fellows from Same, Cody and Keith. Cody is in Cape Town. Keith is in Johannesburg. And with that, I'm going to be, I'm the lucky one who has the privilege of representing our team and of going first today. So let's see how this goes. Grand. Hopefully you're all seeing my screen now. So as mentioned, I'm here representing Same. And we are a queer collective of designers, technologists, content creators, and mental health professionals from the Global South who are trying to find ways that we can take proven interventions for LGBTQ+ youth and adapt them so they can be delivered safely and at scale through digital channels. Despite progress in many parts of the world, the laws of over 70 countries still discriminate against sexual and gender minorities, creating a hostile climate for young people who are struggling with their identity. Social institutions and interpersonal interactions in places like Uganda, Indonesia, Nigeria, or South Africa, where I'm from, create the impression for young people, and this goes back to what Richard was saying about mental models, that being heterosexual or being cisgender is the only way to be good, to be right. And so in that context, it's no surprise that LGBTQ+ youth suffer disproportionately from depression, from anxiety disorders, from stress. And then this goes on to create a host of other problems in their lives, which inhibit their potential when it comes to their general health, their education, and their future livelihoods. But what if there was a place, a space that they could go to that was identity affirming, that was safe and private, that was locally relevant, that provided them with information in their own language that they could access in their own pace with the devices that they have access to without fear of judgment. Same's first product, which I'm sharing with you today, and I'm going to be swapping screens so you can see the bot live in action. Our first product is a chatbot accessible via WhatsApp. WhatsApp is used and trusted by over 4 billion people all over the world. And for our users in the Global South, most of whom have basic phones with limited space for lots of apps and who don't have access to high-speed internet, WhatsApp is the way to connect and to communicate. Our bot provides essential information, connections to services, and access to an 8-session cognitive behavioral therapy course, which, thanks to the fact that we're using WhatsApp, comes with end-to-end encryption. So here comes the interesting juggling bit as I move from this screen to my phone so you can actually have a look at the bot. Okay, start broadcast. Perfect. You should be able to see the bot now, which I'm going to be taking you through. In South Africa, the brand that we've created for the bot is called Fana Fana. In Indonesia, it's Kita Kita. The formula is always the same word repeated twice, but the meaning is different in different places. And this is one of the ways we're trying to appeal to local youth. At Same, we are obsessed with privacy and data security because our users are terrified that they're going to be in a position where they've exchanged sensitive messages about their identity, about their sexuality, and those messages are discovered by parents, or worse, other community members who may take action based on what their identity is. So one of the ways that we've created safety mechanisms is there's a feature which users learn about in the onboarding process, which deletes all of the data related to their profile from our system. So of course, users can do this on their own by deleting the chat, but we still have a record of their number on our phone, and our bot responds to that number if they use it. So with this mechanism we've created here, all traces of their details are removed from the system. So if anyone ever messages them again, they're messaging as if it's the only and first time the bot has ever interacted with this number. So now it's as if we're here as a user for the first time. And I'm going to show you a little bit about our onboarding process and some of the features. So, hey, I'm a chatbot, like a robot created by Fana so that young people in Mzansi, which is what South Africans call themselves, well, call the country, some anyway, can learn about themselves, find ways to cope with their feelings, and get support if they need it. Life can be difficult for anyone who feels, looks, or acts a little different, but I am here for you, and there's a reassuring message that everything is totally private. In the course of interacting with the bot, we are educating users about how to stay safe, how to protect their data. I let the bot call me my preferred name. The bot's also really good about being careful about pronouns. We want, yes, you can call me Jono, please. So I'm so glad you're here, Jono, says the bot to me. One of the things that I get asked often is, am I normal? There are a lot of things that people don't talk about, so it can be hard to know if other people experience the same thoughts, curiosities, and desires. So we've created this quiz that users can take. So one of the first things they do with a bot, where we ask them a series of questions about themselves. And the trick here is that no matter what they answer, they get the reassuring response, don't worry, you are normal. So even in that first interaction, we're helping to address some of the anxieties that our users have, while in the background, we are collecting information about them that allows us to offer a more tailored experience. Going to the main menu here, you can see that there is an option to test your mental health, where we've taken standardized clinical tools and adapted them so that users can learn more about the extent to which they're suffering from depression and anxiety, and then be sent to somewhere where they can get appropriate help. They can learn to feel better. They can get help, read in real life stories from other young people just like them, learn more about Fana, and learn about how to stay safe online. If a user needs help immediately, we are directing them to services that are in their community that they can access. There's the option where they can, once the prototype is fully functional, also access live chats with doctors, with allies who are experts in their field, who can help them get the services that they need, find what they need.
Jono, we're at time, so.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for your time.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jono. Let's go to questions. Jonathan. Jonathan, are you there?
I am, yes. So first one here from Mila. One worry I have is that several services rely on a commercial provider. If WhatsApp stopped encryption or started charging, how would your model change?
That is a brilliant question, because it also lets me talk about how we're actually making the bot available. And that is through working with Turn.io, who you're going to be hearing about. And the way that the system is set up, the way that the conversation flows happen, those flows can be delivered through a variety of other channels. So we could be plugging into Facebook Messenger, we could be plugging into Telegram at relatively short speed in order to adapt to the changing plethora of products that are being used by young people. But chat, what is going to be at the heart of the way that young people engage through phones. And so this is a chat experience, but built in a way where we can move to different products as need dictates. Should I respond to the live questions as they come in?
Sure, please go ahead.
So, Minjun, at the moment, there's a kind of localized South African English that we're working with. We are going to be launching in Zimbabwe in the next few months, where we're going to be launching in Ndebele and Shona. We're working on the Indonesian translations right now. Our ambition is to be available in all the world's major spoken languages. That's one of the ways that we think we can achieve real scale, even if we are localizing for particular countries. So just recently, I was in India talking to prospective partners there, thinking about how we could be adapting the content that we have in Hindi, in Marathi, in Telugu. But right now, it's this localized version of South Africa and the Shona and the Ndebele for Zimbabwe, which are the furthest along.
One more question, Jano. Can a group that works with LGBT people integrate same into their programming in some way, like a customized or branded version?
Please, yes, that is exactly what we're doing. So in Zimbabwe, we're working with the gays and lesbians of Zimbabwe and an organization called Hands of Hope. Our ambition is to be an extra support and resource to the incredible organizations which are doing work on the ground. So reach out to us and we will get back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jano. And we have your link in the chat. Great. Let's move to our next presenter. And that is Aziz from Rocket Learning. Are you there? Are you ready? Yes.
Hi, Tamina.
Yes, Tamina. When I am here.
Yeah, so both Aziz and I will present sort of different sort of versions. But good morning, good evening, everyone. Great to meet you. So my name is Utsav, my co-founder Aziz. So both of us will present Rocket Learning. As a quick introduction to Rocket Learning, we work on early childhood education and transforming early childhood education in India. Just for context, there are over 40 million children in India who pass grade 2 without understanding a single letter or knowing a single alphabet or understanding a single number. For us in India, especially, parents have been our first teachers. And we see that especially with the low income segment, they often lack awareness, information, and the motivation to really engage with their children. What they do have a lot of is care for their child. And that's where Rocket Learning comes in. We provide really engaging, delightful, research-backed content, which builds cognitive skills, numeracy skills, and literacy skills in children. Parents do these activities on a daily basis. This could be in the form of making sounds with different kind of utensils, or it could be identifying 5 round objects at home. Parents do these activities on a daily basis and share it back on a WhatsApp group, which is a community of a teacher and a few parents in his or her class. This community is really what keeps this going. Additionally, we have built out the technology to track all the responses that parents send on these groups. So along with the social motivation that comes through the community, we have built out technology to recognize and to reward parents and motivate them through certificates, report cards, medals, etc. Children who are part of the Rocket Learning program are in the top 30% of their class. And this is something we've seen within 6 months of our work. So we've seen strong impact, and at scale, we are currently working with over 1 million children through 6 state partnerships in the country today. We would love to hear your questions, and Aziz will now just get into a demonstration of our entire product.
Yeah, hi everyone. Let me just take you through some screenshots of a particular group, a particular WhatsApp group, which is a vibrant digital community of these parents interacting with the teacher and our bot. So as you can see, this is a WhatsApp group called ePathshala, which means online school. And in fact, I'll start off with a quick video, demonstration of a 1-minute video that we've sent on one of the groups one of these days, and the response to that.
माता-पिता नमस्ते। आप जानते हैं कि हर बच्चे का पढ़ने और सीखने का तरीका अलग होता है।
This is Hindi.
हर बच्चे की अपनी एक खूबी होती है।
The bot is telling, the video is telling parents that every child has a different style of learning.
खूबी के बारे में वो कौन सी चीज है जो आपका बच्चा बहुत अच्छे से सीख पाया या कर पाता है? बहुत अच्छा गाना गाता है।
So some kids sing really well.
अपने बच्चे की कोई एक खूबी की फोटो या वीडियो लेकर हमें WhatsApp पर भेजें।
So what the videos basically told in 1 minute is that every child has their own way of learning. Some are good at or own skill set. Some are good at singing. Some are good at other things. And then it asks you to tell what your child likes to do and share that back. And as you can see, children are sharing, on this WhatsApp group with multiple people. Folks are sharing back different things. So in this way, a lot of content is sort of coming on the groups. And you can see some of that content here. Let me actually now go back a little bit to some of the more academic sorts of content, because there are two types of things that we send. Some is motivational material of this sort, information for parents to help them understand the process of learning. And then some of this is actually oriented at academic content. So if you see on this screen, just before you, there are 2 or 3 things that have been sent today. They are to do with teaching a particular alphabet U in Hindi, right? So this is the text and some videos come here. And now children and parents are actually responding with videos. So this is one of them. So the child is telling what the alphabet is, and he's then penciling it in. The parent has taken a video of the child doing this and has shared it back on the group. And then seeing this, other parents do the same. Now, another exercise that's come up on your screen is squares and identifying what a square is, right? So you're seeing parents actually annotate on this and send it back. Bear in mind that these are low-income parents of children between the age of 3 to 6. And this is another video, where the mother has drawn out this and is asked the child to write it up. Now, what we do send every week is a report card based on this, where you get smileys if you've sent back something on a particular day, and it's blank if you've not. And so you can see that 30 to 40% of the kids are getting smileys. Others are getting some inspiration and motivation as a part of that. So that's one of the big motivating factors. We also have a WhatsApp-based personal quiz where children actually answer, parents respond on their behalf, and then they get customized content telling them what they did right and what they can do better. In addition, there are other social learning features that are there. Those include a video compilation in which, a homework champion TV. And so in this, there's an automatically generated text compilation of the responses that group has sent back, which is very interesting bragging rights for the parent as well as the teacher. And then we also send medals on a regular weekly or a monthly basis, gold, silver medal based on participation. So I will just pause here, and the idea, overall, is to ensure that low-income parents are able to get engaged in learning. Teachers make the group, the technology sends the content, and the whole group gets into the act and sends back responses. And we're seeing that 40% of parents are responding, over a period of time, which is longer than 9 to 12 months after the start of the program. And the child is getting to the top 1/3 of the class after being in this program for 6 to 9 months, as we see from control treatment type of studies. So I think I'm within time, Tamina, hopefully.
Yes, great.
Now.
Thanks, Aziz. We have some questions. Utsav is also answering them, but why don't we hear you speaking? One question from Alessia is, how do you compare with Baiju, which is a very big ed tech in India for context?
Baiju, yes. So Baiju's is of course a behemoth in the Indian tech market, right? But there are many, many differences. So they, of course, cater to the top 30%. Most of the content is in English, not vernacular languages. And they're a B2C customer or B2C company. For us, we're a B2G2C company, where we say we partner with governments who then get us into the hands of their users, who are the poorest children in the country. And also, we don't cut out the teacher from the equation. Right? So the teacher is on the group, the content is linked to what is being taught in the classroom. So it's actually become a very core part of the school rather than some extracurricular optional activity. So I think those are some of the big differences that we look at. And of course, we focus on the ages of 3 to 6, early childhood education, and that's our mission.
Great. I have a question, which is, what other support are you able to provide to the government teachers, and feedback to the governments? Who has access to the data? You guys have a lot of WhatsApp data.
Yeah, it's a very good question, Tamina. So, when we started off, our focus was on ensuring, of course, education of children between the ages of 3 to 6. We were working very closely with parents, schools, and the daycare centers in India were largely closed. we've now started engaging a lot more closely with the system as well. So we now support, in a couple of states, we actually support the Anganwadi workers in their upskilling, or the daycare center workers, because the daycare center workers in India, one of their mandates is education, but till date, they've actually spent about 30 minutes on education in a week on the average. So we now are working very closely with central government as well as the state government to increase the amount of time focused or given towards education. And we're also working very closely with these states on the upskilling of these daycare center workers to actually be preschool teachers, and also in some way certify them post-training. So along with, involving the community and parents and caregivers, we're also involving, we're also ensuring or helping ensure that there's good quality education happening within these daycare centers. Along with that, we're actually working fairly closely with the central government and doing some advocacy and policy efforts. On that there's a lot of focus in India on nutrition, but along with nutrition during these early years of 0 to 6 and 3 to 6 especially, how can we also combine focus on education along with focus on nutrition? So that's going to be one of the key campaign points also, hopefully, for the upcoming elections.
Excellent, excellent. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rocket Learning, Aziz and Utsa. And we will go next to Brian. Brian with FinEquity. Welcome.
Great, thank you. Hopefully you can see my screen. I think my sound is on. All right. Hi, I'm Brian with FinEquity. I also give a shout out to my teammates, Emma, Leah, and Nathan in the chat. So we're going to talk about FinEquity. So we serve as a digital financial coach and loan provider to formerly incarcerated community members who are returning home. Just for context, the US is the world leader in incarceration, and most of that is due to the many people we send away for long periods of time. 95% of those individuals will originally come home eventually, and as they seek out employment, housing, transportation, and higher education, they run directly into complex roadblocks when it comes to just basic needs. So some of those roadblocks include, just during your first year, how many credit checks you'll experience. Let me know if my screen went out. How many credit checks they'll experience. That at least 1/3 will be credit invisible, meaning that they don't have recent credit history, can't pass a credit check because there is no history for them to have. If they don't have that, they might have more like a lower credit score or kind of a history that, again, would result in them not passing a credit check. And then there's kind of debt that on average, there's 13,000 in debt for people coming home. So we built tools with the purpose of filling financial voids, establishing financial histories, and helping people navigate technology so then they can access vetted financial resources and tools. So that includes things such as making sure they can get access to their credit data for free, no cost, financial literacy coaching that's specific to the justice system, and technical assistance for enrolling in financial services, including our own financial services. So I'll give background on kind of a user experience, and then I'll go through the walkthrough. So here's an example. Mark, I'll call Mark, fake name, but a real person, released, let's say at the time we met, they were released 7 months before. They had spent 15 years behind bars, and they actually weren't sure what their credit reputation is. They had no idea because they hadn't seen it in a long time, didn't know. But from us, they found out that they were credit invisible. And that explains why they were having some troubles with getting certain services. Their children helped them get a smartphone, get Cash App, so that's how they would bank. Their father 3, and their goal was to shift from the room that they were staying in to an actual apartment. So that would be their housing journey. It's probably going to include a credit check. So our process usually for community members like Matt would be that we go after and get credit data so that they can understand what their current situation looks like, because it can be hard to even get access to all your credit information, especially for no cost. We then try to assess what are they comfortable with, what banking tools are they currently using or open to, so then we can do product recs and onboarding support from there. And that includes onboarding, again, to one of our own tools. So I'll talk about that tool and then do a walkthrough. The tool that we provide for community members who opt into this, it's called our Credit Visibility Ladder Program. It includes a microloan that helps them establish credit using a cash we provide them. And it allows them to establish credit with all credit bureaus within 6 to 8 months. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through a tool we built, again, to help someone who's interested in this program. But again, we're guiding them to assess, is this still a good fit for you? So while they're learning while they're trying to enroll, they're also learning what the features are. So then if they decide to opt out, they can opt out. So I'll walk through that. Let's do a new share. Stop share. There we go. Okay, so I've already started on this journey a bit. So I'll start at the top. Basically, this is what we call our readiness quiz for people who are interested in our loans. They've identified that they are credit invisible. They want to not be credit invisible anymore. And so we have them go through this quiz. So I started a bit. These are some of the questions we asked. So I'm just going to go through it until we run out of time. So it starts to ask them questions. We give them materials ahead of time. So the idea is that they get some of the tips and tricks. And after that, they get sent this kind of quiz to see, are they ready right now to enroll in this loan program? So the question here is like, asking about credit invisibility, something that we introduce our clients to so they understand that that's what's going on for their case. And so basically it kind of tells people if they have a correct answer or not correct answer, but doesn't necessarily give the answer, because we end up getting the scores later. And the score is how people get into our loan. So they can take it twice, but the idea is that they're being educated on not only our loan, but how loans usually work traditionally. So that even if they opt for, end up going to our loan and another loan, they at least know some of the principles like interest. How does interest work? Why do people charge interest? And our tool doesn't charge interest. So we explain why. Why don't we charge interest? How is that able to happen? So I'll keep going. So it says, if you are credit invisible, how can you begin building a credit score? So this idea that they would get, again, primed on, there's multiple ways to build credit. I'll just admit that person. There's multiple ways to build credit, but some of them are myths. So for example, using cash is a myth that you can still have credit history if you only have a cash life, or using your debit card or your savings account. Those can be myths as well. Currently, based on like how we understand credit. So I'll just choose a couple that were probably wrong, but I'll just send a few. So we end up giving kind of some suggestions around what might be the answers. And so here's another one. If you're provided a loan of $500 from a lender and asked to pay it back over 12 months, what type of loan is that? So again, trying to understand more about the industry, what's going on, what's the difference between a credit card and an installment loan and like a mortgage, for example. So I'll say installment loan. Great. And so then in our answers, we're explaining things, but also kind of understanding context about how different providers might act, why some have this feature of installment loans versus credit cards. So yes, the installment loan offered by Finequity is different than a traditional loan you may get from a bank. Usually a bank we ask them to fill in the blank. It's like, how does a bank make a profit? And so people will type anything here. Sometimes people say interest-free. They say interest and fees. The tool can understand at least, it does like a regex, so it can understand what might be correct answers, even if people are typing it differently. And so that allows some flexibility for people to answer and still be considered to be a right answer. And then for people who, oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think we're at time. All right, wonderful. Thank you so much for that demo. I'm going to invite people to ask questions in the chat, but I'm going to kick it off with a question. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you onboard users to the tools that you've built now, and when you reach larger scale, what does it look like? You are on mute.
We do a mix. So we understand that some people are comfortable with web experience, but a phone is still, for some people, even if they have a smartphone, might be the best. So we have kind of staff that are able to kind of enroll people through a journey. So it usually starts with people trying to understand their credit, because a lot of people don't know necessarily what's going on. That's usually the first step. Even if people come for other reasons, we usually say like, just make sure that you have all this data. And so we do kind of what's called like a credit assessment with them. So that's the onboarding. There's a tool that they submit information that then we use that information to do what's called a soft inquiry, which is a pull from the credit bureau's data, and then present that information back to them in their kind of preferred method. And whether that's like SMS or phone call. And so from there, then again, so they get on a journey. So the idea is like, what are they opting into? Are they opting into now their credit invisible and they want to find out about our loan, or do they want to actually hear about other options? And so that allows us to send different guides based on that. So the one I sent, it was once a person decides, oh, actually, I heard about the Fund Equity loan and I'm interested in that. That's the one I want to do. So that's kind of how the journey goes. And as we scale, we're trying to think about, of course, we learned from this wonderful group. So we'll see if we move to WhatsApp. I'm not sure. I don't know that the US has as much usage, but we want to think about this idea of definitely having more SMS, and this idea of especially when it comes to coaching, how can we incorporate videos, more interactive media? So I think we're thinking about that too at scale. What does that look like for us?
Got it. Wonderful. There is still a question in the chat, but I'm going to ask you to answer that in the chat so we can stay on time. And the final presentation of this session is Sheppy, and she is with Youth Impact. I will hand it over to you, Sheppy.
Thank you so much, Timina, and really great to hear from the other presenters. So I'm Sheppy Macheng, co-founder of Youth Impact, formerly known as Young Love. And we'll be sharing a little bit more around our work on Zones, our anti-sugar daddy program, but also just to touch base to say Youth Impact has launched in 2014, and we're one of the largest youth serving organizations in Botswana, but also really celebrating a milestone of having reached over 100,000 young people across 6 countries. We do have programs on teaching at the right level, which focuses on foundational skills, building skills around literacy as well as numeracy. And more recently, we launched our Connected program, which is based more on our mobile learning support to students, especially during the pandemic. We found it really effective to be able to reach to young girls and boys using a simple phone. So just to share on our program, the health challenge is that girls often contract HIV at younger ages. And as you can see the graph here, it shows that over 45% of older men in Botswana have HIV. And 90% of young people aren't aware of these risks. They actually think that being with an older partner is a safer, healthy, is a safer choice, because older partners are married, financially secure, and all these reasonings that they give. And therefore, girls enter into these relationships with older sugar daddies unaware of these lethal risks. So the innovation is we bust the myth by providing, a simple 90-minute class that is delivered by dynamic peer educators, which really often, provides the agency as well as to encourage, young girls and boys to enter into healthy relationships and make healthy relationship choices. And how it works, we teach these girls the risks that are often associated with dating older guys, but also for them to be able to choose and date younger partners. And we believe that this can dramatically reduce HIV and AIDS, as well as teenage pregnancy. When age mates are together, they can even be able to negotiate for condom use much more easier if they're with their age mates. So the whole emphasis of our Zones program is to be able to cut our older partners. Just to share a little bit of brief context as to where we are coming from, is in Kenya over 15 years ago, there was a randomized control trial was showing that delivering such a class reduced teenage pregnancy by 28%. However, this class was not scaled and never retested. And therefore, in 2014, we adapted the program to the Botswana context, reaching over 32,000 young people through a randomized control trial. And this trial showed a reduction in teenage pregnancy by 40%, but it also revealed an important lesson that peer educators are much more effective at delivering such an intervention than government teachers, for example. And therefore, based on the results that we have learned, we needed to learn more so that the program can be optimized for scale, but also ensure that we can be able to optimize and measure some of the indicators to monitor and evaluate our impact. So then how do we do so in a way such that it is fast, but also we are able to learn and test more? Building on the two rigorous randomized trials, it provided a nice base of a great foundation of evidence. But again, it took 15 years to get there with an RCT. And therefore, as an organization, with a combination of A/B testing, as well as some of the results from our RCTs, we believe that rapid impact assessments are one way in which we can be able to measure faster, but also be able to learn a lot quicker than if we were to wait for an RCT that will take, over a year or 2 years. So some of the principles on RIAs, which really is a borrowed, I would say, term from the technology field, is that it is rigorous. We're also able to learn faster, quickly, so it's very rapid. But again, really ensuring that whatever that we learn, we can be able to infuse it into our curriculum, and therefore it does achieve the iterative optimization. We're also able to use RIAs for internal decision making, which is really key to how we think about building our curriculum ready for scale. Just to give an example on our rapid impact assessment process, is we randomize individuals instead of schools. So before we would randomize at school level. However, now we're able to randomize individually, individuals, which really requires us to have a large number of young people that we work with when we enter the schools. We're also able to get to the schools to deliver the lesson and measure short-term outcomes. We deliver the session. We bust this myth that all the partners are the safer choice. But also we're able to measure outcomes on our short-term indicators, such as knowledge, as well as behavior, in order to be able to see how these, relate to our long-term outcomes. So some of the things that we've learned, we'll just quickly share the results, but there's a lot to unpack on this process. So what you see here is a graph that shows our different rounds of rapid impact assessments, as well as the percentage of the number of students that guess all the partners are the highest risk of HIV, so measuring knowledge. You see on this graph that at RIA 3, the graph hits at the 90% mark, but then you also see that the knowledge is actually showing over time with our different rounds of RIAs, round 4, round 6, and 8. So we see that there's continual improvements over time. Over 97% of girls know that all the partners have HIV, have high risk of HIV. This is actually an improvement from our prior RCT, which were only showing the highest knowledge results being 70%.
Sheppy, we're actually at time. I know you've got some more insights to share, but,
all right,
but those are amazing results.
Yeah, I touched on it. Thank you all, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. We have one question to kick it off from Jono. He's asking, what are the short-term behavioral indicators or outcomes that you're using in these rapid trials, and are they self-reported?
Yeah, so we are measuring short-term indicators such as knowledge, as well as you can see on this screen, risky sexual behavior, which are usually self-reported. Things such as like kissing, flirting, holding hands as some of the things to get at, finding out or understanding more of the risks that young girls and boys actually face.
Excellent. And we have another question. Are there particular characteristics of interventions that are more amenable to measuring through rapid trials?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. What we are doing now, and also happy to share that we're working with Rocket Learning on some of these elements. So we are also doing the similar with our Teaching at the Right Level work, where we are able to test our different variations of the program very much more quickly than ever before. So on the Teaching at the Right Level side, for example, we have literacy that's ongoing as well as numeracy, but then we're also testing out whether, for example, does it matter how we group students? Does it matter, for example, ways in which we can create the sustainability of learning over time from when they first enter the Teaching at the Right Level class, but also continuously, see how we are able to see learning over time. So we do use, I would say, our RIA methods, with the different variations and the different program elements that we have as an organization.
That's great. Thank you, Shepi. And thank you for sharing this. For folks who haven't been in the randomized trial world, this work is amazing. This is doing A/B testing in the field with real people, randomizing the people in real time and getting results in weeks. It's kind of mind-blowing. So thank you, Shepi, for sharing it. And with that, we are going to take a quick break. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is to stand up if you feel like it, stay seated if you want, but take a moment to push back from your screen a little bit and stretch out your arms, reach above you if you can, or to the side, whatever feels good. Just take a minute, because we've been together almost a whole hour and we're going to keep going. Take a minute to stretch yourselves out, stretch your neck if you feel like it, whatever feels good. We want to give everybody a chance to take care of themselves. Take a bio break if you need it. We are going to come back at 9:55, so in another 2 minutes. Feel free to go off screen if you want to, as long as you promise to come back. We've got a great lineup on the second half. And Cody, if you have any dad jokes, this is a great time to bring them out. Caught you off guard there.
I have one, but it's really brutal for those that are into like Spider-Man. Why does Spider-Man's calendar only exist of 11 months? Because he lost May.
That's harsh. Wow.
No, also too deep. No, Cody, no.
I guess it's late on a Friday night in Cape Town, so so you're getting dark. All right, well, let's get Saransh, you're going to be up next. We've got a few more moments before we get started, but why don't we get you queued up? Are you a co-host? Not yet.
Will I get some extra time, Jamila, because I'm a little early?
Yes. Let me see. Are you able to share or not yet?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. Let's get started in just a second. All right, let's go live. Welcome back, everyone, and we're going to hear from Sarah and Saja.
Hello, everyone. I'm Saransh, co-founder, director at Saja. We at Saja believe in potential and dignity of all parents to support their children's learning and development. The work that I do at Saja is very personal. I believe what my parents did has actually helped me reach where I am, become what I am. Although my mother and my father wouldn't agree to what I have become finally, but setting that aside, and bringing back the point to what is happening in the Indian education system. And thank you, Aziz and Utsav, for clearing out. We know that a lot of children in India, 50% of children in grade 5 are not able to read grade 2 text. COVID, school closures have actually worsened the situation. These are facts that are just there. We also know that parents can play a critical role in improving the foundational literacy numeracy outcomes for children, and they can do much, much, much more. We want to create an ecosystem, a support ecosystem for parents, which is actually run by parents. Imagine a system of support where if you call up, if you access that support, there's someone who believes in your capacity to actually work with your child and improve the learning. To make that ecosystem, we are actually imagining 3 critical stakeholders. One is your parent, which is essentially working with the child. 2, we actually work with community champions, or we might call them PTA moms and dads in the US. And so these are folks who have taken up the leadership in their community to organize, to work with other parents. So we try and support those parents. And the third one, support organizations through a dashboard. Now, each of these solutions that we are building actually does a specific function. For parents, the idea is to provide personalized support. For the champion, it's to work on the on providing the support to the parent. And through the back end, we want to ensure that the most effective support can actually go to the parent. Currently, the solution on the parent bit consists of a call helpline and a WhatsApp bot. For the Sajedar, the community champion, the parent, teacher, moms and dads, there's a champion app that we have built. And then on the back end, we have a system to actually monitor and evaluate the whole program. I'll quickly jump into and show you how all of this functions. So the first one, which is essentially the first one is essentially our WhatsApp bot. And I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Yep, now you can, right?
Yes.
Cool. So the first one is a WhatsApp chatbot. Essentially on the WhatsApp chatbot, you see a list of options for the parents. So if the parent doesn't know about the school, or the parent doesn't know about the syllabus that consists of, or what is the result that has come out, or even the learning content that exists, parent can actually seek specific information. For example, if a parent doesn't know about some learning information, they can actually press an option to get to that. The bot actually asks them, what type of learning content are you looking at? If I say I'm looking at learning content that is playful in nature, and give the bot that option, the bot actually gives me a curated list of content. This is actually content created by another organization, so we don't need to create content again. We actually curate content that has been created, that is open source. In this case, specifically Pratham, that has created the content. Now, if you move up, you will also see a helpline number, which is 011-430-60755. That's the helpline number. Now, who operates this helpline? The helpline is actually operated by the community champions using the mobile solution that we have. And taking you to the mobile solution, this is the mobile solution, which is actually used by community champions, the PTA moms and dads. You look at, there are 4 screens. There is home. How many parents did I call today? How many calls did I get? The roster in terms of how many calls do I have to make today, parents that I'm connected to, information about the parents. And the last one is the learning bit, which essentially consists of all the learning content that champions can use to actually build their capacity, answer specific questions, provide the right support to the parent. I'll actually try and make a call to one of the parent, which is Krishna ji, which was assigned to me. I haven't called him. This is late night in India. I wouldn't be calling him, although I'll try. So I make up this call up. The call actually goes to a cloud telephony system. The cloud telephony system calls up my app, and you will see on your screen that I'm getting a call from the cloud telephony system. I would pick up the call, but no, I'm not going to talk to him right now. I cut the call. The call is cut, but essentially when you move back, You go back to the call logs and you see that the call has come up there, which is Krishna, which is at my time. If I go on to this call, I will actually see that the call has failed because I did not call them. I can give feedback in terms of has the parent opted out? Do I want to reschedule this? If I want to reschedule this, I can give a time, give a date, and reschedule this. All of the sessions that the community champions do with parents actually are recorded, and we actually use that to make our system much more effective. All of this data, this huge chunk of data that comes to us, is actually gone on to a dashboards that we have. And I'll quickly try and move towards the dashboards. Yep. So this is the dashboard. So these are all the parents that we have. This is the roster that we have for each day. How many callers were supposed to make a call? How many did? What is the calling rate? Are we able to resolve certain issues? And on the users, we know all of the community champions that we have. What courses are they doing? What is the support that they do? Who are the parents that they are talking to? All of this support system is something that we want to build to ensure that parents, when they are working with their child, do not feel inadequate in supporting their learning and development. We know this is a small step, but a major one. We want to reach out to 100,000 parents. And to do that, we are broadening our donor base in the US, hiring team members to actually help us solve critical problems and creating the right program of champions to support parents. I hope we get the right support. Thank you.
Thank you, Saransh. That was a lot of fun. Please feel free to put questions in the chat. I have one question, which is, does connecting to a Sajidar, these like PTA parents, does it change parents' behavior? What do you know about how it affects the parents that get calls?
Yeah. And because Tamina, we work specifically with parents who are a little wary of reading certain things, who might not have used other solutions. So they want to talk to someone. And if they talk to someone who's a volunteer in their community who's actually doing this, they get a lot of confidence. We have seen oftentimes it becomes about someone heard me talking. So not getting just a call, but actually someone hearing me out and understanding what I'm saying. That plays a big role in taking action.
Excellent. And how do you recruit the parents who are going to be the champions, the community champions?
So in India, there's a structure, they're similar to PTA. There's a structure called school management committees. So from the PTAs, we actually source a lot of our parents and try and sort of work with them so that they can support. So it becomes easier for us also to identify parents who have taken leadership.
Awesome. Thank you. I think we are at time. We are now going to turn to our last presenter, Pippa. It's going over to you.
Thanks, Timna. Can you guys see my slides?
Yes.
Great. Okay, hi everyone. I must say it's quite a privilege to be last. You realize how amazing this cohort is. Feeling very appreciative to be a part of this fellowship. So my background is in design and behavioral science, and I'm a co-founder at Turn.io. So we're a for-profit public benefit corporation, and we're looking to raise $4 million to accelerate our impact into 2023. So I'm excited to tell you a bit about us and what we do. So at Turn, our vision is to scale effective support to vulnerable people everywhere. But until now, there hasn't really been a means to have end-to-end encrypted, secure, and private conversations between people and organizations, and especially not at this scale. So knowing that over 4 billion people use chat apps on their phone to talk to family and friends, and now to talk to businesses, we asked, why aren't organizations using chat for impact? Well, the simple answer is that health and education businesses, governments, and NGOs don't know how to build and scale chat services. They're experts in their own individual fields. So they hire a developer, which is expensive and time consuming, or they use a product which is not optimized for their impact use case. And as a result, very few organizations manage to scale their impact services to reach millions. Prior to Turn.io, our team spent 10 years building and scaling SMS, mobile web, and voice services, and improved 100 million lives. But since we know the future is chat, I think my colleagues on the call today showed you that too, we've productized that experience and created Turn.io. Turn is the chat builder and marketplace for organizations who improve lives. We were fortunate enough to work with the World Health Organization in March 2020 to launch their first WhatsApp chatbot, which we then rolled out for another 12 governments. The digital migration during the pandemic helped us prove chat really can have an impact. And we're excited that the forecasts suggest we'll continue to see growth in both the mobile health and education sectors in the next 5 years. Our chat builder makes it much faster and much cheaper to run an impactful chat service than hiring a developer. But you're probably wondering, how do we make chats impactful? We do so by providing tools that give people agency to improve their own lives. We have simple, behaviorally informed utility templates, things like schedule a vaccination appointment, receive your exam results, track your asylum status, or receive a social grant payment. Our help desk triages health conversations and also enables long-term coaching relationships that support people to reach their health and education goals. And lastly, we help organizations go beyond engagement and track real-world impact. So while our competitors are optimizing for purchase journeys, we're optimizing for social impact at enormous scale. And the difference is in the results. What you probably don't know is that the 4 most highly active services on the WhatsApp Business API today are all social impact and government services. And I'm proud to say that Turn is powering 3 of those top 4. You're going to have to forgive me if I get a little bit emotional going through this next part, but we are extremely proud that on the 1st of March, we got to support Ivan and his team to deliver safety guidance to the Ukrainian people. We have helped 220,000 parents, caregivers, and emergency personnel. And in early March, our chat service was one of the only support services that was live when Russian cyber attacks took down government websites. Today, Ivan and his team are delivering first aid guidance, mental health support, and are empowering people to report the thousands of undetonated weapons that are littered across the country. But this is why Turn exists. To scale effective support to people everywhere. In the next video, I told you to excuse me for that part, but in the next video, you'll see our community marketplace, which is currently in beta. It enables organizations to share and download playbooks, which are reusable components of chat services. So you'll see here, we've got a smoking cessation program from the World Health Organization. And this is now freely available on Turn for anyone to download. And we're really excited that as this marketplace grows, effective chat support services will be even faster to deploy and cheaper to run, and even more effective. for the thousands of organizations that want to improve lives. We are the first and only WhatsApp business solution provider that is endorsed for social impact. And large organizations from for-profits and non-profits across the board are choosing us to help them scale their impact to tens of millions. But while we work with lots of large organizations, just want to say we're equally as excited to power the growth of the next generation of impact startups like the Saja and Same teams you heard from today. At Turn, we believe that everyone should have a conversation that changes their life. We hope to enable billions of life-changing conversations. And we're here, we can prove the double bottom line with chat. So we'd love to have you on our journey to use chat for impact.
Thank you, Pippa. Thank you so much. It was really a moving experience that you shared with us, and kind of reminds us why a lot of us are here today. And grateful to you for what you guys are building and what you're enabling. It's really inspiring. Thank you, Pippa. I don't know if anyone has questions for Pippa about the technology that they've built or about some of the applications. Feel free to drop it into the chat. But Pippa, thank you for bringing us all close together today and for being vulnerable and open about how moving these technologies can be and how transformative in people's lives. Do we have any questions? I'm going to invite people to unmute themselves and speak up if they do, because we're at the end of our program. And I will just fill the space until someone unmutes. I do want to say we are so grateful to South Park Commons for hosting this community of founders. We are grateful to the Agency Fund for helping to bring together the work of people who are otherwise not getting to be connected to each other, but whose work is very rich and valuable and worth learning about and learning from. And I want to personally thank, though she's no longer on the call, I want to thank Ruchi Sangvi, who is the founder of South Park Commons, for creating this space, and thank Richard, who is the mind behind the Agency Fund, for thinking to bring all of these amazing people together. So I think, unless I see any questions, I am going to invite us all to give our thanks to each other and our thanks to these founders for all of the work that they do. Thank you, thank you. And we will see you elsewhere in this ether, maybe on chat. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.